Today we will see design of IC engine components, that is piston and piston rings. Learning objectives of the today's session are discuss the design of piston assembly including piston material, and second objective discuss the design of piston head, piston ribs and cups, piston rings, piston barrel, skirt and piston pin. Let us see what do you mean by piston. Again, in earlier session we have seen the design of cylinder and cylinder liner. Today we are going to see the design of these piston and piston rings. But before that, we should know what do you mean by piston. Again, you are aware of that piston is a reciprocating part of a IC engine that performs number of functions, and it reciprocates inside the cylinder. And here, generally, its construction you will find it's like a cylindrical disc. It performs number of functions, and these functions are to transmit the force due to gas pressure. It compresses the gas during the compression. It compresses the gas during the compression means before the compression stroke here, air and fuel mixture taken inside, it gets compressed. Again here to transmit the force due to gas pressure, that means after expansion, it exerts the pressure on the piston and it gets transmitted because of the piston. The next one is to transmit the power to the crankshaft. Again here, we have seen in earlier session also, the piston is connected to the connecting rod, and then connecting rod to the large big end of the connecting rod is connected to the crankshaft. And after power stroke, power generated or the moment when this gas exerts the pressure on the piston head, then the moment of the connecting rod or piston reciprocate inside the cylinder, and because of that it transmits the power to the crankshaft through the connecting rod. Again here in piston, you might have studied in second year also while visiting the ST workshop or other companies, automobile companies, you will find piston rings are used. Again, the main function of these piston rings are to prevent the leakage of the gases in between the cylinder and the crankcase. Now here, the piston is also acts as a sealer inside the portion of the cylinder from the crankcase. Again, another important function, it also takes the side thrust resulting from the connecting rod. And you will know very well, connecting rod is subjected to fluctuating load, and because of that, always you will find when it transmits the power during that time, side thrust exerted by the connecting rod, which comes on the piston. And here another important function is it takes the side thrust. Another important thing in earlier session we have seen how the heat is dissipated through the cylinder and cylinder liner. Here also piston plays important role and helps to dissipate the heat. How it is, it's after expansion, excessive heat is generated inside the cylinder. Again, we have seen that temperature may be maximum up to 2500 degrees Celsius, and the generated heat which is transferred from the piston head to the piston rings or piston to the piston rings and piston ring to the cylinder or cylinder oiler. In this way, it helps to transmit that heat or to dissipate that heat from the combustion chamber to the cylindrical one. Generally, you will find pistons are trunk type and which are open at one end. Now let us see construction of trunk type piston. Generally, piston consists of different parts. Here you will find piston head, piston barrel, piston rings, piston skirt, reinforcing ribs, and piston pin. Look at this. This top portion of the piston is known as the piston head. Again, this part above these rings is known as the top flange. This part is the piston head. Generally, if it's not mentioned, while you have to assume it's a flat surface, a flat piston head. Again here, below this top line means the piston head and up to this ring, this is the part or top portion of this piston. Then second, another part is the piston barrel. Piston barrel means from this top line up to the open end here, this portion is known as the piston barrel. And piston barrel consists of ring section and skirt part. The piston barrel consists of ring section and skirt. Now here in piston ring section, there are piston rings are fitted to prevent the leakage of the gases. Again here in piston rings, there are two types. One is the compression ring, second one is the oil scraper ring. And generally you will find this bottom ring is a oil scraper ring. It takes the care of lubricating of the piston and cylinder as well as to take out that lubricated oil or scrap it in the crankcase. Then another part is the piston skirt. You will find from the last here this piston rings up to the open end, this part is known as a skirt, where this piston pin, the provision of piston pin is to fit the piston pin is made. Here, connecting rod is fitted or connected to the piston in this skirt part. Then reinforcing ribs. Again, you will find in the piston, the ribs are provided to give the support to the piston head as well as this skirt part of the or piston barrel. Why these ribs are provided? Sometimes you will find when this during the reciprocating motion, there is a side thrust which is coming on the piston to helps to take this side thrust. Again, after expansion, the the pressure which is coming on the piston heads also ribs helps during that time also. That's why reinforcing ribs are used here. Another one is the piston pin. Now here, this hidden lines, dash lines, you will find this position where piston pin is inserted. And here, the bottom side, small end of the connecting rod is connected to that part, connected to the piston pin, or it is also known as, already explained. Once again, I would like to recall in 1 minute. This is a top land, then ring section and skirt. This portion is known as a piston barrel. It consists of this piston head, means top part here. Then ribs here, piston ribs or reinforcing ribs. It gives supports because the the side thrust which is coming because of the connecting rod. Again, this is the hollow portion which is shown here by the hidden lines. This is for piston pin, and here the small end of the connecting rod which is fitted to the piston, and which because of that the piston, the motion which is transferred to the crank. Again here, these are the piston rings here. Again here, one ring, that is oil or scraper ring, which is fitted at the bottom side. Let us see how to design and how to find out their dimensions of these different parts. Now let us see one by one. Piston head, I have already explained, it's a top portion of the piston. It's a top portion of the piston. This is piston head. Again here, it is subjected to cylindrical or cylinder gas pressure. Gas pressure means after combustion or expansion of gas, because of that it exerts the pressure on the piston head. That's why it is subjected to cylinder gas pressure. And that is important. Always we have to find out how much is the maximum gas pressure it gets generated or induced after expansion stroke. Then another one important thing, this piston head may be flat, concave or convex, depends on the construction of the chamber. Generally, if we don't know, we are going to assume it's a flat one because of this analysis becomes simple one. Otherwise, you have to find out the the radius of curvature for convex and convex ring. Then another important part is the piston ring. Again, I have already explained, it acts as a seal and prevent leakage of the gas here. Here the piston rings are fitted and directly they are coming in contact with the cylinder liner or the cylinder. Because of that, it acts as a seal and prevent the leakage of the gas. Then there is another ring. This piston rings are also known as compression ring. And there is a one at the bottom side of this ring. There is one ring. You will find it's a oil scraper ring. And what is its purpose? It prevents the leakage of lubricating oil. It's okay, but it supplied the lubricating oil during the movement of piston in cylinder. And when piston goes up that time it provides, it takes out that the lubricant also and collected in the crankcase. It's main function of this oil scraper. Then piston skirt. Piston skirt means this bottom part. Look at this. This after the piston rings up to the open end here. This is the skirt. Here the provision is made to fit this piston pin or to connect the connecting rod here. It is the lower part of the piston below the piston rings. Again, important thing, in piston skirt, connecting rod is fitted. Because of that, this surface acts as a bearing surface or side thrust, which is coming because of the connecting rod or because of reciprocating moment of this connecting rod. Then another important part we have seen here, ribs are inside it because piston is a hollow part. That's why these ribs are provided. But main function of this rib is it acts as a stiffener for piston head and piston skirt. Because in piston, after expansion, lot of the excessive pressure which comes on the piston head. Second, because of the reciprocating motion, connecting rods also here some thrust because of the connecting rod which is also coming on this side thrust on the piston, and because of ribs are provided and it acts as a stiffener, it helps to take that thrust load as well as the pressure because of the expansion or expansion pressure you can say. Then another important, that is piston barrel. Piston barrel in this diagram you will find from this top line up to from this section to up to this open. That means piston barrel consists of this ring section as well as the skirt section. And it supports the piston head and it provides assist for piston wings. And then piston pin, I have already explained, it connects the piston to the connecting rod. Again, here important thing is material used for the piston. Again, here when this piston is used for high speed engine or low speed engine, again you will find two important consideration while selecting the material for the piston: to increase the power to weight ratio, and weight density should be less, and second one, high compression ratio and higher speed. That is the criteria for selection of this material, and that's why you will find generally cast iron, alloy cast iron or aluminum alloy are preferred. But you will find when the piston speed is less than 6 meter, then cast iron is preferred, and for high speed application, aluminum alloy is preferred when piston speed is 6 meter per second. Again, aluminum alloy is having another advantage, that is thermal conductivity is 3 times more than the cast iron. Again, you will find the bed density of aluminum alloy is 1/3 of the cast iron. That is the advantage. That's why in general aluminum alloy is preferred in case of piston. But if you are going to consider the cast iron is having a more strength. That is the advantage compared with, again, thermal expansion. The property of cast iron is good. Aluminum at high temperature, there may be possibility of expansion of aluminum alloy. And because of that, we have to put some clearance in between the piston and the cylinder at a high temperature. That means expansion, or you can say the thermal expansion, which is more in case of aluminum alloy. I mean, it's a limitation of aluminum. Now let us see, based on that, what are the desirable properties? High strength to withstand the pressure and inertia forces. Again, heat resistance, because to withstand the high temperature. And in earlier session, I have already told the high temperature is up to 2500 degrees Celsius inside the cylinder. Then lightweight to minimize the inertia forces. Then low coefficient of friction. High wear resistance, good thermal conductivity to dissipate heat quickly, and low coefficient of thermal expansion. These are the desirable properties of the piston material. While selecting that, we have to take the care of this property. Generally, aluminum alloy, which is preferred compared with the cast iron. Now let us see in the design how to find out the dimension. Dimension means rational design, because in this case, like the other simple component design, here what we have to do, we have to find out the dimension and where the dimensions are suitable to take that load. Now here in piston, the expansion, the gas expansion or gas pressure plays important role, and side thrust, which is coming from the connecting rod, that is important. While designing the piston, we have to take the care of these 2 points. Now let us consider one part. First one is the piston head. Now here this part is the piston head, and you will find this is TH is the thickness of the piston head here. This part is the piston head and TH is the thickness. And again, this is the cup type. But again, you will find when to go for a cup type piston and when not go for just for a flat piston. That will be depends on the type of construction and the size or volume of the combustion chamber. Again, here generally flat plate type head is considered here. Now here how to find out here. There are 2 criteria to calculate the thickness of the piston head. Now first one is the strength criteria. Second one is the heat dissipation. Now strength, why strength plays important role? Because here after expansion or combustion of the fuel, there is a excessive pressure which is generated, and it exerts a lot of pressure on the piston. That's why strength plays important role. And why another criteria is the heat dissipation, because after combustion here excessive heat is generated and is having the temperature is high, and how the piston helps to that means thickness of the piston head is also plays important role to dissipate that heat. That's why there are 2 criteria. One is the strength and second one is the heat dissipation. That's why thickness plays important role also in heat dissipation. Let us see first criteria, that is strength. But on the basis of the strength criteria, thickness of the piston head is calculated by using this expression, and which is given by Grashof. That's why this expression is also known as Grashof's formula. Now TH is equal to D under root 3 by 16 Pmax by sigma P. Here Pmax is the maximum pressure inside the after expansion of the gas pressure. Then sigma B is the permissible bending stress. Again, it's a tensile stress. Then D is the bore diameter. Again, you will find here this sigma B permissible bending stress. If it's not given, if piston is made up of gray cast iron, the value is in the range of 35 to 40 Newton per mm square, and for aluminum alloy, it's 50 to 90 Newton per mm square. Again, here maximum pressure inside the cylinder or the after expansion, it's 8 megapascal. If it's not mentioned, you can assume in the range of 4 to 5 megapascal while designing the or while finding the thickness of the piston head. Again, here empirical relation is also given. By using that also we can easily find out here. Again, second, how to find out this? For that purpose, here Held and Fabry given this expression TH is equal to 0.032 D, capital D plus 1.5 mm. By using these empirical relations also we can easily find out the thickness of the piston. Again, here in case of the cup head, this RC, radius of curvature, which is given 0.7 times the diameter. D means the bore diameter or cylinder bore. So in this way, we can, by using strength criteria, we can find out the thickness. Let us see heat dissipation. Because here, how much is the thickness required to dissipate the heat effectively? That is the criteria which comes under this heat dissipation. Now here in the how heat is transferred in piston to the cylinder. Some portion of the heat transferred to the cylinder by piston rings and direct contact. Yes. The temperature difference, again you will find the piston is a circular, the cylindrical disc. At the temperature at the center is high and outer surface which is low. There is a temperature difference. We are going to take into account here to find while finding the thickness of the piston head under this criteria. And heat is transferred in radial direction. And its rate is proportional to the thickness of the piston head. Again, it's given by this equation. Let us see here. H, capital H upon 12.56 into small k in bracket Tc minus T means difference of this center temperature and outer surface temperature here into 10 raised to 3. Now here this K, small k is the thermal conductivity factor, is not a conductivity, thermal conductivity factor. Then this way, its value for a cast iron is 46.6 watt per meter degree Celsius per meter degree Celsius. For aluminum alloy, 175 watt per meter per degree Celsius. Again, gray cast iron, the temperature difference, this Tc minus T is given 220 degree, and aluminum alloy 75 degree, because at the center which is maximum and outer side is less. Again, how to find out this H? H means amount of heat conducted to the piston head, that is required to get the value of TH. Now let us see here how to find out this H. H means amount of heat conducted through the piston head. This H is equal to C into HCV. It's like MCP delta T, but in this case, the heat generated because of calorific value plays the important role. And C is the amount of heat absorbed by the piston to the total heat developed in the cylinder. It's a ratio. And generally, it's C is assumed as a 5% heat absorbed by the 5% heat is absorbed by the piston. Then HCV. HCV means higher calorific value of the fuel in kilojoule per kg. Which fuel is used? That is maybe petrol, diesel. Accordingly, we can select the value of this. For diesel, it's given 44 into 10 raised to 3. Then for petrol, 47,000 kilojoule per kg. And here diesel, 44,000. Again, here M means mass of the fuel used per brake per power per second. By using these values, our BP is the brake power of the engine per cylinder in kilowatt. So you will get H. Again, here substitute this H here, you will get the TH. And again, M, if you don't know, you would like to find out this M, because M is given kilojoule per kilowatt per second here. That time you can consider this value also. Now here important thing, by using the strength and heat dissipation criteria, you will get the dimension of piston. And even though by using the here empirical relation given by here Held and Fabry, we can easily find out the thickness. Now second important component, piston ribs and the cup. Again, how to find out how to decide the ribs here. Ribs means these parts here inside this piston. Now here for that purpose, what we have to do? Then first of all, we should know the functions of piston ribs, why they are provided, and based on that, it will be easy to understand while finding their dimensions. Now here the main function is to distribute the side thrust of connecting rod properly on the piston skirt. Piston skirt means the part which is below the piston ring up to the open end on the bottom side. It distributes the side thrust which is coming from the connecting rod. Then second, triangular ribs are provided from the piston head to the boss. Here you will find in diagram also. Here let us, this is the ribs which is provided, triangular ribs here. Then another important function to carry the gas load from the piston head. After expansion, whatever the load which is coming on the piston head, it is also carried by these ribs or give supports and is strengthen the piston head. And carry the heat, again another function to dissipate the heat, because it also dissipates the heat from piston head to the, through the piston barrel. Then when to consider here ribs for piston, if the thickness of the piston head is less than 6 mm, no need to consider the rib. Ribs are not required, no need to give the support by using the rib. But if thickness of the piston head which is greater than 6 mm, then ribs are required. And generally number of ribs are 4 to 6. You will find in circular generally 4 ribs are preferred, but 4 to 6 rib depends on their functions. That means the gas expansion, gas pressure, then side thrust. Then how to find out the thickness here, size of the rib? For that purpose, thickness of the rib which is given, thickness of the piston head by 3 to up to by 2. By using this relation, you will get. That means once you know the thickness of the piston head, by using earlier criteria, strength and the heat dissipation, you will get the thickness of the rib. Again here, I have already told here, sometimes cup head or cup type head or cup may be required or may not be required. If L by D ratio, L by D means length and D means bore diameter, is less than 1.5, cup is required, and L by D length of stroke by bore diameter is greater than 1.5, then cup not required. That means when to go for a piston rib, when thickness is less than 6 or greater than 6, it decides the rib required or not. Similarly, length of stroke by bore diameter decides the cup required or not. And if required, the thickness of rib calculated from the thickness of piston head, that is TH by 3 to TH by 2. This is about the piston rib and piston cup. Then let us see the another important component, piston rings. Again here in piston rings, you will find it consists of 2 rings. One is the compression ring and another one is the oil scraper ring. The top here, this ring, look at this the diagram again. Here 1, 2, 3. The provision which is made for the compression ring, and 1 here it is for the oil scraper ring. Try to understand. Again, its function of the compression ring. Now in compression ring, to maintain the necessary radial pressure to seal up and prevent the leakage. Main function is to prevent the leakage or to seal it. And second, necessary radial pressure. Radial pressure which is required, because otherwise what will happen, there may be possibility of leakage of the gas or the air and fluid mixture in case of petrol as well as diesel engine. Then oil scraper ring, which is fitted at the bottom slot or grooves of the piston ring. It provides the proper lubrication to the cylinder liner. Then second, reduce the frictional loss. It prevents the leakage of lubricating oil into the combustion chamber also. And when piston goes up, during that time, whatever the oil supplied by the scraper ring, which is again taken by this scraper ring, and which is that excess oil, which is scrap and which is sent to the crankcase. This is about the function of oil scraper ring. Again, material is for the scraper ring also grey cast iron or alloy cast iron. Because alloy cast iron having one advantage is wear resistance. And generally, main important, the requirement, this while selecting the material, it should have a spring characteristics, because it should properly fit with the cylinder liner or cylinder. That's why spring characteristic is the important thing, and you should have a high resistance to the temperature also. Then how to decide the number of rings? Again here in automobile and aircraft engine, the number of compression rings are 3 to 4. Again in stationary diesel engine, number of compression rings are 5 to 7. And number of oil scraper rings 1 to 3. Generally in shown diagram, the only one scraper ring is provided. how to find out the dimension of the piston rings. Again, here let us see. Look at the figure. You will find this is the piston ring, which is a here hollow part and which is cut here. This disc type or annular ring which is cut at this. Again, cut is again this slant here cut which is provided in this way. It's not a vertical one. There is a gap. Again, here this G is the gap. Before assembly, it's a 3.5 B to 4B. B, what do you mean by B? Is the radial width here. H is the axial thickness of the ring, and this is the diameter. Again, here for the piston ring, you will find its diameter of piston ring is slightly more than the cylinder bore diameter. Then and then it works or prevents the leakage. If it's equal to the diameter of the cylinder, then there may be possibility of leakage. Therefore, this D should be slightly more than the cylinder bore diameter. This B is the radial width and the H is the axial thickness. Now here this gap which is provided for fitting purpose is 3.5 B to 4 B before assembly, and it should be after assembly not D to 0.4 D. D means this dimension, or you can take the cylinder bore diameter after assembly, no problem. Then again here you will find how to find out the B. Again here main function of the piston is to provide allowable radial pressure on the cylinder wall. Now to provide this pressure on the cylinder wall here, again what we have to do, we have to find out the allowable radial pressure means P upon that area is equal to sigma T, that is permissible tensile stress. By using this expression, we can easily find out this. So you will get the B, that is the radial width B is equal to capital D under root 3 into PW by sigma T. Here PW is the allowable radial pressure on the cylinder wall in Newton per mm square. Sigma T is the permissible tensile stress. Again, this radial wall pressure, if you don't know, it should be assumed in the range of 0.025 to 0.042 megapascal. Then permissible stress sigma T, it is in the range of 85 to 110 Newton per mm square. And axial thickness, how to find out here from this expression, you will get the B. And from that B, we can find out this axial thickness H. How you will get? H is equal to 0.7 B to B. So you can take here the value of H. And limit of minimum axial thickness, that is capital D by 10 Z, Z means number of rings. This is another equation. That means by taking this, if you don't know the values, you can refer the standard value, find out the B. From B, you will get the axial thickness. And even though minimum axial thickness, you can decide by using this expression, capital D upon 10 Z, and Z means number of rings. This is about the piston ring to find out the P, then D, H, and this, how to decide this gap. Then let us find out the other dimensions of the piston here, width of top land and ring length. Top land means this H1, and what is the distance gap between the two consecutive ring grooves? That means this gap. This is H2. That we have to find out. This H1 is given is 1 times the thickness of the head or 1.2 times the thickness of the head. Directly we get H1 is equal to 1 times the thickness of head, which is calculated by using strength or heat dissipation criteria. Again, second, here H2. That means already we have find here this H you have got from this B means radial width of the piston. Now to decide this H2 here, this gap here, again this H2 you will get 0.75 times the H means having the same axial thickness of a piston rings. So you will get H2. That means you will get H1 and H2. You can add it, you will get the total dimensions. Then another important part is the piston barrel. I have told already from the top land, he starts from the first piston ring here up to the open end of the piston towards the bottom side. How to find out is thickness of piston barrel here, this T3. The T3 which is given by this empirical relation 0.03 D, capital D plus B plus 0. B is the radial width of the piston ring, D is the bore diameter, you will get T3. Similarly here you can find at the bottom side is the T4 is given. We can easily find it's 2.25 T3 to 0.35 T3. T3 means this thickness of the piston barrel at this end. This is T3. Once you know the T3, you can easily find the T4. So you will get other dimension of the piston barrel. Let us decide the length of piston skirt. How to decide the length of piston skirt? Piston skirt means the last piston ring up to this open end is the length of piston skirt. And to decide it, so you will find last scapper ring and open end. It acts as a bearing surface for the side thrust already mentioned and already told. Then again, because this piston skirt which is subjected to side thrust, and this is because of the connecting rod here, and when this side thrust is 0.25. So for low speed engine, we have to assume that is 0.25 megapascal, and for a high speed engine, it is assumed 0.5 megapascal. And the maximum side thrust, we have to find out. How to find out the maximum gas force first of all? Gas force means after expansion, you will get area into D is the bore diameter multiplied by mu, that is coefficient of friction, you will get the side thrust. Again, but here from the connecting rod also, whatever the thrust exerted, you can find out here side thrust because of this connecting rod, you will get the PB into D into LS, bore diameter. LS is the length of the skirt, and PB is the allowable bearing pressure on the that skirt area. And you can compare this side thrust and side thrust because of the gas expansion. You can comparing what you will get LS. LS means length of the skirt. From this equation, you will get LS. And once you will get this LS, or if you don't know, even though you can find out LS is equal to 0.65 D to 0.08 by using this empirical relation, and total length of the piston means top line plus length of ring section plus length of the skirt. We have already calculated all the dimensions. Only one point is remaining. Let us see in 2 minutes. This is the piston pin. You will find, look at this. This is the part above which here this part, look at the arrow. This part is the small end which is fitted in the in piston by using the gudgeon pin or a piston pin. This is DI is the pin inside or inner diameter of the piston pin. DO is the outer diameter which is fitted. Again, while fitting it, you will find the piston boss is the part of the piston here, both the sides. And inside it here, the small end of the connecting rod is fitted here. The L1 is the size of this connecting rod. Small end of the connecting rod, you will get the bearing area which comes in contact of this piston ring or gudgeon pin. And this is the Bosch part of the piston part. Again, here piston pin and gudgeon pin, or it is also known as the wrist pin, which is used to connect the piston part and the connecting rod. Again, expanding gas through the piston which is transmitted here from the piston to the connecting rod, and it's a hollow circular pin is a hollow circular to reduce its weight. Now again, what we have to do, we have to find out here the bending moment here. Let us see this arrangement of the piston, which is full floating and semi floating. Floating means you will find here this pin is freely, that means piston boss as well as the small end of the connecting rod and the piston boss here, piston part, the piston pin freely moves. Sometimes the piston, another one is the semi floating in which this small end part may be fixed with the piston pin, and this piston boss parts which is free, pin moves freely, or vice versa. The piston boss and piston pin is fixed, and small end of the connecting rod and piston pin free. It's a semi floating. There are two types. One is the full floating, another one is the semi floating. Again, here this piston pin which is made up of plain carbon steel, and again second thing, alloy steel, which is alloy steel consists of nickel, chromium and molybdenum. And how to find out the length of this pin, the L1, you have to find out 0.45 is the empirical relation. L1 means this, how much portion of the small end of the connecting rod, this size, that is L1, you will get 0.4 D. Then another important thing, outer diameter of the piston pin, how to find out, because here force which is coming on the piston because of expansion, this force, and resisting bearing force offered by the pin ke karan PB1 into D0 in here, outer diameter of the piston pin is obtained by equating here force acting on the piston. This is because of the gas expansion. And second one, resisting bearing force offered by the pin. Again, here this bearing pressure means PB1, which is the piston pins one which comes in contact with the connecting rod part, into DO into L1. That's why area is considered DO into this L1, and this is the bearing pressure of that part. And from this expression, you will get the DO, outer diameter of the piston pins. Once you know the diameter of the piston pins, what you have to do, find out the inner diameter here, this inner diameter DI. And we have considered only this bearing pressure for this area only here up to this section, and area of this L1 into this DO, which is considered projected area here for PB1 into D1. The inner diameter of the pin is equal to, again you have what you have to do, 0.6 times the DO. Once you know the DO, you can find out the DI. Again, bearing pressure at the small end of the connecting rod, if you don't know, generally it's maximum 25 megapascal, and mean diameter of the piston bosses, that is 1.4 into diameter of this piston pin for grey cast iron, and 1.5 times the diameter of piston pin for aluminum. aluminum alloy. So you will find here these dimensions here for this, for the piston bosses also you will get by using this expression. And another important one is the piston clearance. Piston clearance means again you will find how much is the piston clearance should be provided here. If the piston diameter is equal to cylinder liner diameter, that time it will maybe struck with the cylinder liner, and that's why the some clearance is provided there. And this clearance, it varies in from 0.0375 to 0.1875, and then piston can reciprocate inside the cylinder. Again here, this is about the bearing consideration. That means in bearing consideration, what you will get? You will get the DO, you will get the DI, and again by using the empirical relation with respect to DO, you will get DI, and similarly you will get the piston boss dimensions also here, mean diameter of the piston bosses for different materials. Now, one important point which is remaining that I would like to cover from this piston or piston pin or the gudgeon pin. Look at this here, this diagram. Again here you will find here, this is the small end of the connecting rod here. And we are going to assume here it is uniformly distributed pressure here at this small end part here. It is assumed. That's why here the in diagram it is shown. It's a uniformly distributed. Again, this is the L1. L1 means the portion of the small end of the connecting rod which comes in contact with the piston pin. This is L2. L2 means whatever the load here which is coming because of this P2, P2, it takes the care of that load. And again that L2 we have to find out. How to find out the L2 I will tell. And D means the diameter, bore diameter or piston diameter. You can say here this D. To find out the L2, what you have to do? L2 is equal to this capital D here minus L1. That what is remaining? This side and this side. L2 means what you have to do? L1 ऐसा भी कर सकते हैं ना? D L2 is equal to D minus L1. So only you will get this size and this side, but we want the L2. Then the remaining dimension you can add again for L1. Then you will get the L2. So from figure also we can easily find out the L2. Again here what we have to do, let us find out this uniformly varying load condition. This is L1, so this is L1 by 2. Again we have to apply this consideration for bending. Now bending moment acting on the pin at the central axis XS. Yeah, central axis XS, that we have to consider here. Now that's why for uniformly varying load here, this is L1 by 2. Total L1, L1 by 2, this side L1 by 2. So to convert it into the point load which is going to act here, the L1 by 4. So for bending consideration, MB is equal to, again you can refer the diagram also, P by 2 into L by 2 minus P1 upon L1 into L1 by 2 into L1 by 4. Simple, like a SOM fundamental that you have to use here. Because convert this varying load into the point load, L by 4 you will get, again this L1 by 2. Then once you will get the MB, so what you have to do, we have to find out the L2. And L2 I have already told how to find out the L2. Again here L2, you will get from this L1, D minus this L1. So you will get remaining size this portion and this. And you, in the remaining this portion, you can again add this L1. So in terms of L1 and in terms of D, you will get L2 or D by 2. Even though you can do this analysis by L2 is equal to D by 2 minus L1 by 2. Also, you will get this dimension and then add it with L1 by 2. That means by referring the figure also you can calculate L2. So that is D plus L1 by 2. Again, what you have to do, you can substitute this L2 value here. You will get D1 plus. Here it is shown, it is substitute D1 plus L1 by 2, that is L2, 1 by 2 here it is mentioned. Multiplying by this, you will get MB is equal to PD by 8 here. This is bending moment. And once you know the bending moment, you can easily find out the bending stress induced in it. Again, what you have to do? Again, as usual relation, sigma B is equal to MBY. Now again, you will find here, sigma B is equal to MBY by I. Y is the distance from the neutral axis, that is dO by 2. And I is equal to pi hollow, because the gudgeon pin or a piston pin is a hollow cylindrical part. That's why pi by 64 into d raised to 4 minus di. So you can substitute this value, you will get here sigma. So in this way, we can consider the bending of the gudgeon pin or piston pin also. Again here, induced bending stress should be less than, if gudgeon pin is made up of carbon steel, so it should be induced sigma B should be less than 84 Newton per mm square. And if it's made up of a heat treated alloy steel, the induced sigma B is calculated, it should be less than this 140 Newton per mm square. Then and then you can say you are bending, that piston pin is going to sustain for this bending stresses. In this way, I have covered here the design of piston, piston rings, their parts and dimension. So you will find here only some of the equations that you have to use, and number of empirical relations are given. And again, standard materials are used for piston and piston ring and different parts of the piston. Accordingly, you should know that their limiting values of the that materials. It will help you while finding out the dimensions of the piston and piston. This is about the design of the piston. Again, I have referred V.V. Bhandari's book, Design of Machine Element by McGraw Publication. If you have any query, please contact me at 9890426679.